Clive Barker's Jericho is a 2007 horror-themed first-person shooter. Developed by Mercury Steam and published by Codemasters, Jericho, written by author and artist Clive Barker, has you leading a diverse squad of psychic operators against horrors unimaginable. Want to play it with me?
The world as we know it does not exist without struggle. Our civilization is under constant assault from forces we would once have called the powers of hell. In truth, these forces are far more ancient than Christianity, more ancient than any religion that has left its trace upon our species' soul. It is evil incarnate, and it has been working to destroy our highest aspirations, our faith in love and light, since we came into being. But we do not dare name this evil. To do so would be to admit to its presence in our world, to acknowledge that its servants walk the same streets that we walk, and its overlords, depraved, corrupt, and hungry for our flesh and our destruction, are hidden in the empty wastes of our planet, awaiting the day of mankind's execution. Only one power stands between us and universal death. Warrior magicians who have dedicated their lives to our protection. Most of us will never know their names, nor the battlefields where they wage their secret wars, nor will we ever honor their dead. But they are with us, always, armed, vigilant, and ready to die for another tomorrow. Jericho. They are called Jericho. They know all too well what the enemy is capable of. That before our species perishes, we will be tortured into madness, devoured alive. And they will do all in their power to protect us from such atrocities. If the world exists tomorrow, now you know why. Jericho.
An ancient city emerged from the sands of time, bringing with it the seed of all evil.
Rawlings, Church, Cole, secure the entrance. The rest of you with me.
Still picking up the signal from the Swiss Guard recon squad?
Yeah, but I can't get a lock. I'm getting close, but there's lots of interference.
That's never a good sign.
Hold up.
What in God's name?
The Swiss team. Or what's left of them.
Hey, there's something here.
Holy shit!
The main menu is a stretched mass of flesh and meat covered in buzzing insects. So yeah, it lets you know what you're getting into here. We start a new game on hard difficulty. On loading screens, the game gives you little bits of lore or story summation in the style of these typewriter word scrolls. Neat, but they go really slowly. Thankfully, through the power of Vegas, we can speed them up and I can just read them. And God created the firstborn in his own image, an entity neither male nor female, dark nor light, a singular being that was both beautiful and terrible to behold. Disturbed by the power of his creation, God left it unfinished, banishing the firstborn from reality to the abyss, forsaken and unloved. In its place, God started fresh, the slate wiped clean. He divided his next creation into two sexes, gave it intellect, reason, emotion. He gave it the gift of love. He gave it a soul. Biblical Apocrypha, Gnostic texts.
It's happening again.
Where is this?
This is where it
Well started.
This isn't real.
It's as real as your soul. Help me.
It's 3 in the morning. You felt it too? When? Oh, shit. Okay. I'll see you at the airfield. They call us the Jericho Squad. We are the top secret combat arm of the U.S. Army Chaplains Corps. As far as the government is concerned, we don't exist. Each of us is a specialist in one of the arcane arts. The Army calls what we do covert occult warfare. It's just a fancy euphemism for witches with guns. There was a time when the church would have burned people like us as heretics and monsters. Now, we fight their wars for them.
Not much of a view, is it? But somewhere down there is the cause of 4,000 years of human conflict. Name any conqueror. Napoleon, Kublai Khan, they've all fought and bled for Al-Khali. It may well be the oldest city in human history. It's also ground zero for Operation Vigil. The rest is strictly need to know. And for the moment, you don't. Vigil was my first assignment with the department. Recognize that cheerful fella beside me?
Arnold Leach.
Our old friend. This was taken back in '62, before we had any idea what he was capable of.
Ritual murders in Baltimore, gas attacks in Sydney, and those poor kids in London.
You got it. Anyway, Leach and his so-called Brotherhood of the Dark Rapture have been trying to gain access to Al-Khali for nearly 20 years. Seems that 2 days ago, he finally gave up on subtlety.
Where'd you get these?
Remote viewers at Langley got some psychographic images out before Leach shut them down.
Okay, we'll run this just like the Glamis breach a few years ago. Cole scans for temporal anomalies?
No, this isn't the same, not even close. Trust me when I tell you that the team has never faced anything like this before.
What's the plan?
Infiltrate the dig site and neutralize Leach and his cronies before they can open the breach. Colonel Ackland of the Swiss Guard is providing perimeter security. He'll give us a sit rep once we're on the ground.
Wake up, Frank.
We there yet?
God, I hate the fucking desert.
Pretend it's the beach. What the hell is that?
It's happening again. This is where it all started. Help me.
Hold on, this is gonna get rough.
Captain, there are no reports of sandstorm activity in this area. This is not a natural phenomenon, sir.
This is as close as we get. That wind will snap this bird in two.
We'll take it from here! Safe flying!
See you at the LZ.
You waiting for an invitation, Jericho? Go, go, go!
We play as Devin Ross, captain of Jericho. We learn that Jericho is the top squad for the U.S. Army Chaplains Corps, a secret branch of the Army focusing on supernatural threats. Yeah, this game isn't one for subtlety, but if you can stomach a little cheese, I find it rewarding at least. We've touched down in Al-Khali, a secret city that our handler, a priest named Paul Rawlings, refuses to tell us much about. All we know is that we've been getting strange visions leading us to this place, and that Arnold Leach, a former occult operative turned rogue, was sighted here. And by rogue, I mean he leads a cult called the Brotherhood of Dark Rapture, so yeah, probably not a good guy. We get a transmission from a Colonel Ackland who tells us that the Brotherhood of Dark Rapture attacked the research facility here and were being sent in to investigate. The tutorial gods have seen fit to deny us any actions other than walking until we reach a stone wall that blocks our path. We can press V to perform a melee attack, though the one we currently have isn't all that useful. At the moment, we have access to a primary fire shotgun with a secondary fire assault rifle. Interesting, since it's usually reversed. We can select the firing rate for our assault rifle, which we leave on full auto for now. We see the first of our squad mates' abilities as Abby Black, our sniper, shows off her telekinetic powers to break down the suspiciously door-like stone blocking our path. Ruins of Al-Khali, Middle East. The Department of Occult Warfare has sent in Jericho team, a 7-man unit trained in both conventional and occult warfare, to investigate. All attempts at contacting the outpost inside Al-Khali have failed. With tensions already running high in the region, this is the event that could trigger the apocalypse.
Fascinating. The mural's Sumerian, but the writing's Aramaic.
Ancient taggers?
Well, that are art critics.
What's it say?
Help wanted.
The gateway to paradise is unlocked with the souls of the innocent and the blood of gods.
So, which are we?
Well, we're not gods.
Speak for yourself.
Shit, it was a joke!
Whoa, look out! QuickTime event hitting you like a hot fart. Yep, this game was made in 2007, which means it has QuickTime events. I don't think hitting the input before Ross falls down actually does anything, but you do have to hit the corresponding directions to get back up. I do kind of like that it just throws you into one of these, but it's a bit confusing on PC when you just see the arrows pop up. After escaping death, we see that this game is dark. I mean, it's dark thematically, but it's also just plain-ass dark. The flashlight helps, but it's very much a horror game flashlight, not an FPS one, so you can only see a bit of your screen at some points. The squad emerges to find the sandstorm is gone, but also the sun is gone? I'm sure that's normal. We lead the squad a bit before we finally run into something that moves. We learn that we can control our squad with the middle mouse button, scrolling down to tell them to hold position and up to follow us.
Show me your hands.
Easy, guys. They could be friendly.
Look at this.
What you got?
I don't think they're alive, sir.
Permission to fire.
Hold fire!
Bullshit, man. Look at him.
He said,
So for some reason, we shoot the obviously innocent, friendly natives of this hidden death city. The gunplay in Jericho is, chunky? I'm not sure what word best describes it. It doesn't feel amazing, but it doesn't feel awful either. Enemies on hard can be kind of damage sponges, but you can still pop hits, and popping hits is going to be satisfying. After our wanton murder, we find that the squad is completely cut off from outside communications. Here, the squad is split into two, Alpha Squad and Omega Squad. Alpha is sent on a recon, while we go with Omega to search for the research facility.
Take Alpha and do some recon.
First, though, we enjoy some of the friendly local decor. Rawlings says that an Agent Green was in charge of the facility and that finding her should be our priority. The locals attempt to give us friend hugs, but the team misinterprets their natural rusted blade arms as weapons and we sadly have to terminate them. You'll also notice that, again, since this game was made in 2007, our screen is going to be covered in all sorts of fluids whenever we get hit, and sometimes whenever we hit, and sometimes just because. Some more friendlies appear behind us, late to the friend hug party. We're bad at friend hug parties. Now this is a friend hug party. Look at them. They can't stop hugging. Got the ass out? That's a real friend right there.
How long since you were here last?
Captain Ross,
Who's there?
Ross?
Shh. Listen.
we've been expecting you.
Over there, look! Don't move!
The child from our visions appears and leads us into a few more enemies. These guys are the most basic enemies we'll encounter, but on hard they aren't to be ignored. They take a good amount of bullets, taking at least 2 shotgun hits to the head, and can kill us in 3 or 4 hits. These are, believe it or not actually friendly locals, but members of the Brotherhood of Dark Rapture. For the most part, they just run and flail at you, though this can be more dangerous than you'd expect since they don't really care about getting shot. They can also extend their blade arms, though this attack is fairly rare and easy to avoid.
Ice crystals. The ground's frozen.
A blood sigil? That's serious magic.
It makes sense, doesn't it? If they knew they were under attack, they'd have rites and incantations in place to lock the facility down.
Can you unbind it?
Sure can. This is one of ours. You might want to step back a bit. You should hurry. I don't know how long before it closes again. You don't want to be halfway through when it does, know what I mean?
Rawlings, come with me. Abby, Billy, you two hang back. If that door doesn't open from the inside, I'm gonna need you to let us out.
You got it, sir.
Neat trick.
The lost city of Al-Khali is caught within a box of extremely virulent evil. Today, there are a handful of ruins beneath the desert sands, but this place has been in existence throughout some of the most significant civilizations in history, many of which were oblivious to the tremendous power that lay under their very feet.
What are we looking for?
There's a huge array of paranormal detection and surveillance gear constantly monitoring Al-Khali for any sign that the dimensional rift is weakening. We need to find and recover that data so we can determine what Leech has done and hopefully undo it.
Our trip through the research facility is fairly uneventful, save for one interrupted friend hug.
Enemy spotted.
Eventually, we reach the facility headquarters and find Muriel Green.
Muriel!
Drop your weapon!
Don't you fucking move!
Muriel, it's me, Paul.
You're one of them! I know it!
I said drop the goddamn gun, now!
Muriel, I swear it's me, Paul Rawlings. We met in '96. I was your handler in Chechnya, then Sudan.
What about Prague?
Prague, 1999. New Year's Eve at the Hotel Bohemia. We danced a Cole Porter tune sung in Czech, then drank ourselves stupid on absinthe. I'm afraid my memory gets a bit fuzzy after that. Are you hurt?
Something terrible's happened. They've already opened the breach. It's already out.
What's out? What's she talking about?
Operation Godseal. That's why they sent you, isn't it? You've got to stop it, Paul. If you don't, we've lost everything. Everyone in the world is lost.
Did you manage to record the event itself? If we can pinpoint the source of the temporal distortion, we can find the breach.
Ross, can you read me?
I'm here.
We got trouble. Alpha needs backup.
What's your location?
Northwest corner of the dig site. Multiple hostiles. We keep firing, but they just keep coming.
Sit tight. We're on our way. Alpha needs help.
We can't leave her here.
I'm not asking. Abby, Billy, we're moving out.
We head back the way we came, where Ross chides Rawlings a bit.
I thought you were a priest.
I am a priest.
Well, what about Prague?
I'm also human.
Outpost Virgil, established to investigate the unusual activities of the box during the Second World War. The Allies knew that the Germans, led by the Full Society, were carrying out extensive excavation work on some mysterious ruins without any apparent reason. We meet up with the squad members we left outside and fight our way to Alpha Team's position. On our way, we come across a new enemy, explosive cultists. As the name implies, they explode. They also have big yellow pustules that just scream, "Shoot me," so we do, which causes them to explode, but this time not in our face. We find Alpha in the midst of battle with these cultists, who keep popping up out of the ground. When fighting the cultists, it's best to have the explosive ones be your priority, since your teammates do not care where the cultists are when they blow up, and will shoot them when they're looking them in the face. After taking care of them, we ask another squad mate, Simone Cole, about the situation.
Do some extreme data recovery. You up to it?
That depends on the level of temporal distortion experienced at the site in relation to the event horizon of the breach itself. If the vortex is strong enough to cause a feedback loop, then theoretically, if the data existed, then it's always existed, sir.
I have no idea what you just said.
I think I can recover the data, sir.
Good enough for me.
Good. Jericho reunited, we start to head back to the research facility. On our way, we get into a couple of firefights with cultists, where a squad member goes down, and we finally learn what Ross's power is other than being generic first-person shooter man. He's a medic, able to revive teammates when they fall with magical healing powers.
That was intense.
We also run across some meat that screams at us.
This isn't human blood, sir. At least not all of it is.
We get into our hardest fight yet, with multiple cultists of the hug and exploding types. Again, it's usually best to focus on the explosive cultists, but some members of the squad are inevitably going to go down by shooting at them. We just heal them up and continue until we get a message from Green.
Pick it up, guys! Double time! Shit! Everyone stack up! Jones, you feeling anything?
Arnold Leach knows all too well what tactics the Jericho team will use to track him down. Carefully, he chooses someone to infiltrate DOW from the inside to feed him information he needs to be one step ahead of the Jericho team. He knows that they'll use data gathered by Muriel Green to track him down, and he can't let this happen. The facility is now infested with cultists, and the fight to Green is much harder than it was before. Eventually, we reach headquarters and find out her fate.
Rawlings.
I sent her here. I thought we needed space. I was afraid someone might find out.
This is likely to cause a considerable amount of dimensional displacement, sir. You may want to step outside.
Rawlings doesn't have much time to mourn, as we are mauled by cultists as Cole begins to transfer data. What follows is a fairly lengthy segment where you have to defeat waves of cultists, but since your whole squad is sequestered on a platform, it's not too difficult. We focus on taking down explodey boys before they reach us and shotgun anything that gets too close.
Cole, what have you got for me?
Al-Khali sits atop a 7-point intersection of ley lines. Leach has pinpointed this intersection and made a substantial blood sacrifice to open the dimensional rift.
Yes, but to open a portal of that size, he'd have to kill thousands. The Brotherhood only number a couple of hundred at best.
Doesn't matter. Leach is a tantrist. Casters like Leach, they build up a charge.
A karma bomb.
That's right. All that shit those dark raptured dickheads have been pulling, killing babies, blowing up schools. They've been saving up that negative karma for this moment. How the hell did we miss something like that?
You almost sound impressed.
I am. Spellcraft like that takes vision. Foresight, man.
You're sick.
Sir, I've pinpointed the exact location of the breach. I've also detected something coming through it.
You know the drill, guys. Form up and move out.
Sumerian mystics that seek to protect humanity have always kept 7 warrior priests at the ready should the Firstborn return. Each time, this ancient order is sent into the box to confront the Firstborn. Somehow, each previous team has succeeded in closing the rift at a price.
Leech.
And how have you been, Devon? Getting much sleep?
I'm gonna cook you, you piece of shit.
So no, then.
We're closing the breach, Arnold. You can either get out of the way or we can kill you here. I'm fine either way.
So yeah, Spooky Voice belongs to Arnold Leach, should you have any reservations about him being a bad guy. It takes a while for us to get to Leach, as we have to fight through a lot of cultists to get there. There's one fun part where you can funnel a bunch of explodey boys into a narrow corridor and blow them up. Eventually, we reach an altar in an open space, and you know what? This is a good-looking game. I know a lot of the graphics go toward making stuff look gross and disgusting, but honestly, for 2007, this game has a lot of fidelity, and I'd say it holds up really well.
Standard procedure, guys?
Yep, just like Glamis. Billy and Rawlings will purify the area.
That won't be enough. I told you this isn't like the others. As of this moment, Operation Godseal is in effect.
Doesn't it get old, Devon? Every time we make contact with something greater than ourselves, your master sets you out to destroy it. Don't you ever bother to ask yourself why? What kind of magician are you?
Cole, he's spying on us, goddammit. Jam him!
Sir!
We're attacked by flying creatures that sling what look like spines at us. These are actually fairly dangerous and don't go down easily since our rifle's automatic fire runs out of ammo rather quickly. Eventually we defeat them and the child appears once more.
He's trying to stall us. Priest, you better get explaining.
Operation Godseal. It's the reason Jericho exists. There's an ancient Gnostic text that speaks of a being created before man.
Wait, I know this. God couldn't destroy his first creation, so he locked it away, banished from the earth so he could start over again. Then he made mankind, and he gave us flaws to keep the balance right. But the firstborn was jealous.
And its rage could not be contained. It's been waiting, accumulating power.
What? You believe that apocalyptic horse shit?
It doesn't matter if you believe it, there have been plenty throughout history who have. Whatever lies on the other side of the breach has been calling to Leech and others like him in the hopes that someone could set it free.
Same old story. Every time we discover some fucked up ancient force, some asshole back in Langley wants us to put a collar around it and make it our pet.
No, we were trying to contain it.
What the fuck is that?
I need you, Devon.
Ross, don't go.
The only way to end this is to set me free.
By the way, no, you cannot shoot the child. We aren't given any other choice than to step up onto the altar.
Master, don't you see that? Is it just me too? So many promises of untapped power, forbidden knowledge, your most troubling questions answered. Am I correct? You're all witches and heretics the same as us. You know what they do to witches, don't you? What do you think they'll do with you when there's no one left to burn? I am sorry, Devon, but it's you he wants.
Ross! Oh, shit!
Rawlings, get over here!
Hold on, Ross!
Damn you, Ross! Don't give up!
Come on, damn it! Come on!
They're getting closer! Do something!
We're losing him! Leave him! They're coming in from everywhere!
Frank, help me!
Billy! Watch out! Oh my god, he's fucking dead! What do we do now? Everyone, follow me! Come on! There's the breach!
Exist tomorrow. Now you know why. Jericho.
Well, we're dead. So, I guess the game's over now. Okay, everybody. Bye-bye. I love you. Alright, no. As you may have surmised, we seem to have switched control over to another member of Jericho. The team, missing their leader, decides they must enter an interdimensional breach to chase down the mysterious child. Ross is dead. In the box, however, death has a different meaning.
Is everyone here?
No, we're not all here. We lost Ross.
I'm still with you.
What?
There's someone in there with him. I can feel it.
Delgado, can you hear me?
Rawlings, it's me, Ross. I don't know what happened. I think I'm in him. Put those away, damn it. It's me.
Prove it.
Jesus Christ, Paul. Should I tell them about Prague, or do you want to trust me on this one?
Well, no shit.
Where's Frank? What have you done with him?
He's still here. He's just resting.
Resting my ass, puto? Get the fuck out of my head!
We saw you die. Leech killed you.
Not all of me.
Fascinating. I want you to try linking to Abby. Can you do that for me?
Well, let's see.
So here's the hook of the game. We're still technically Ross, but we can switch between every member of Jericho, or at least we eventually will be able to, each with their own unique weapons and powers. By holding space, we see our squad mates separated into Alpha and Omega Squad. At any point, as long as they're alive, we can take direct control of one of them. Here we use Abby Black to clear the way with her telekinesis, much like she did before.
I got a joke for you. How many telekinetic lesbian snipers does it take to clear a road?
That's Delgado, he's kind of a dick.
Hey, congratulations, Abby. Now you finally know what it's like to have a man inside you.
Fuck you.
Yeah, he's a dick, but we gotta play as him for now. Frank Delgado derives his power through what could be called shamanism. Specifically, he's made a pact with a fire spirit called Ababanelli. He offered his right arm as a sacrifice to Ababanelli, which is why he keeps it sealed in that big metal thing. He's able to release the fire spirit by exposing his arm, damaging him but allowing Ababanelli to seek out foes and set them ablaze. He fights primarily with a minigun attached to his sealed arm. This, combined with his high health, makes him the best member of Jericho at standing toe-to-toe with foes, as the minigun doesn't need to be reloaded. And no, there's no overheating mechanic either. Additionally, he has a high-powered pistol with a 6-shot magazine, useful for dealing headshots when you don't have time to rev up the minigun. Frank is generally, as I said, a dick to his fellow squad mates, but he does have a relationship with Billy Church.
Counting on you to get me out.
It's still me, Billy. Do you want to talk to Frank?
I know it's you. Hell, if it wasn't for you and Rawlings, I'd still be back in the asylum.
You don't have to thank me.
I'm not thanking you. That place was hell, but compared to this, shit. At least there I could have ended it whenever I wanted. You got me into this. I'm counting on you to get me out. We clear?
We're clear.
If you need my blood magic, you can link to me when you need to. Just don't screw up, or you'll have to deal with Frank.
So yeah, I don't know how he managed that, but now we get to play as Billy. Billy is probably the hardest member to play effectively on hard difficulty, as she has the lowest health and the shortest range. She has a rapid-fire machine pistol, but it doesn't do much damage and burns through ammo really quickly. She primarily fights with her sword, which is very effective, but obviously requires her to be in melee range with the spooky naked men with rusted sword arms. Billy is a sanguimancer, which means blood magic. She does blood magic. This manifests itself in-game as very useful area of effect abilities that hinder and damage foes, but at a cost. Using her magic drains Billy's health, which is already low, and she can't use those abilities if she doesn't have enough health, leaving her vulnerable. The first of these abilities is Blood Ward, which places a stationary orb of blood that will stun most nearby foes, making them easy pickings. Overall, Billy is all about picking your shots, and once you get in, using her high speed to hopefully slice down the baddies before they do you. A road of petrified remains leads the teen closer to the Firstborn, a path of souls stolen by the darkness of the box.
Does anyone have any idea where we are?
I think a more appropriate question is when we are.
Captain Ross, if you need to jump to me, you have my permission.
You sure you're okay with that, Cole? It's kind of, invasive.
You're just another network, sir.
Next is Simone Cole, one of the most important agents in keeping Jericho alive. Unlike the others, Simone isn't gifted with any occult magical properties. She is gifted with near superhuman intelligence, however, which she uses to manipulate reality through chaos algorithms and, I don't know, smarty-timey, magic bullshitty stuff. She's the reason we aren't running out of ammo as we traverse this hellscape, as Cole, as she puts it, downloads ammo into our reserves. Her weapon is a standard assault rifle, much like the one Ross used, but without the shotgun. She also has grenades that you have to hold the fire button down to give them range, you dumby. You can actually customize the grenades a lot, choosing between making them go off on a timer, on impact, or to act as proximity mines. You can even change the timer on the timed grenades. Now, you may have noticed our surroundings have changed a bit. There's odd bits of much more modern-looking infrastructure strewn about, and we've come across a new enemy. These big, hulking masses of meat do actually have heads, and though they have what look like to be World War II-era helmets on, we can actually do more damage by hitting them there. They can chunk our health rather quickly, though, and like to hide in cover, so it's often a war of attrition with these guys. Eventually, we come across what looks like a fortress surrounded by barricades and World War II pillbox turrets. Now, if you were playing this game instead of watching it, I guarantee you'll get stuck on what to do here at first. Your allies are going to be yelling at Simone to grenade the pillboxes, but no matter how many you throw, nothing will work. What you're meant to do is use Cole's infinite loop ability to slow time, get behind the pillboxes, and press the spacebar. The issue is, the game doesn't give you the prompt that there is even an interact button until you are directly behind a turret. I'd hope your first instinct is not to run directly into a nest of turrets. Regardless, that's what we have to do. We let our squad take care of the machine gunners in the area and duck between cover to get behind each pillbox.
Welcome to the Path of Souls. You will contribute your face in time. Your will is weak, your magic inferior. Embrace me as your mistress, or your souls will pave the way for our glorious army.
The Firstborn?
I don't think so.
How are these assholes still alive? That was like, what, 70 years ago?
65.
What about the previous squad? How did they close the breach?
We don't know. They never came back out.
Well, that's just fucking beautiful. Maybe they left us a note!
Delgado, holster your goddamn weapon!
Frank, what's wrong with you?
I didn't sign up for no fucking suicide mission!
If you're gonna point that at me, you better use it. What have you done?
Oh, fuck!
Frank, stop
What the
it!
hell is wrong with you, man?
Paul!
Delgado, stand down! Abby, constrict him.
Sir, do you think you can resurrect him?
One way to find out. Everybody stand back.
Delgado is a dick, but he gives us an excuse to learn that we can use Ross's healing power from whoever we're possessing at the time. The squad realizes that maybe this isn't the best place for infighting and tepidly make up before the mysterious voice returns.
This isn't over.
You should have let them kill one another. It would have saved me the trouble. You are outmatched. Relinquish your souls to me, or you will suffer eternal torture.
I think she wants us to surrender.
Pues, at least she's kept her sense of humor.
Lichthammer! I am Father Paul Rawlings of the United States Army Chaplain Corps. The war is over. The fatherland has fallen. Let us pass, and we will do what we can to release you and your men from this purgatory.
Arrogant bastard! You dare to address me? I will tear your manhood from you and feed it to your victuals!
Lichthammer was a powerful psychic in her own right. There's no telling what she's capable of now that she's been assimilated by the Firstborn.
Recall that one of the loading screens told us that the Nazis were excavating Al-Khali, and you can put together what's happening here. The Nazis never left. We've been fighting their mutated undead bodies since we entered the breach. The fight with Lichthammer is less a fight with her and more of a survival gauntlet. Lichthammer will come down and chase after us, and then retreat after taking a few shots. Several enemies respawn. Interestingly enough, they're the cultists from earlier that we have to put down, and Lichthammer will return. Rinse and repeat. Delgado is probably the best choice for handling Lichthammer, as she's too fast to outrun and he can just minigun her in the face. Do this enough times and Jericho will receive some unexpected help.
Up there!
What is that?
I don't know who those guys are, but they have my thanks. Ross, if you need to jump into me, you have my blessing.
On discovering the German plans for the powers held deep within Al-Khali, the British Office of Strategic Services dispatched Blackwatch, a top-secret commando unit ordered to destroy the psychic German commander, Lichthammer. The team continues through a ruined battlefield facing several mutated soldiers. Here we can now play as Paul Rawlings, the oldest member of Jericho and the most informed. Rawlings is kind of a catch-all cleric, and his powers originate from his studies and faith. His main ability is, much like Ross, his ability to heal, but unlike Ross and those he possesses, Rawlings can heal from a distance. The animation for doing so is kind of irritatingly long, but it's still useful for when the AI gets stupid and runs one of your squad mates to their death. His weapons are 2 Desert Eagle pistols that he dual wields. The cool thing about these is he has 3 different types of ammunitions that you can switch between. He has normal bullets that are useful at medium range and have a quick fire rate, shrapnel bullets that turn his pistols into mini shotguns, and explosive bullets that explode. You can actually select different kinds of ammo for each pistol, making Rawlings very versatile. The only issues with playing Rawlings are 1, the AI likes to change his ammunition when you switch from him, so that's annoying. But mostly, by playing as him, you're the only member of the squad that can heal now, so if it's a tough fight and lots of people are going down, it's usually better to leave Rawlings on his own. Eventually, we come to a dark tunnel where we're prompted to switch to Delgado and use his fire shield ability. Conveniently, we run into a new enemy, still a hunk of meat, but this time with a flamethrower. Normally, these are pretty dangerous in close quarters, but Delgado's fire shield causes him to take no damage from fire and less damage from other sources. It also does minimal damage to enemies who touch it, but its primary use is to tank damage for the rest of the squad. It's not actually super useful outside of instances where you're specifically meant to use it, since you have to rely on the AI to do your shooting, but still, it's cool, I guess. After we exit the tunnel, we have a difficult fight with many respawning cultists and soldiers in front of a bunker. Following that, we find another tunnel, at the end of which we start hearing a familiar musical theme.
That's all of them.
I want
The seer.
the one you call
Jones!
Hey, Ross, can you hear me? If you need my astral projection, I'll let you drive for a while. Just make sure I get my body back in the same condition I left it.
We are now able to possess Jericho's second-in-command, Xavier Jones, and are introduced to his astral projection ability. Through a rather finicky targeting system, Jones can target enemies, or the Firstborn in this case, and see through their eyes. This allows him to manipulate the environment or help direct his allies' abilities. Here, the Widow Firstborn shows us a lever that we use to open the gate blocking our way.
Then we move forward. Let's just make sure we keep our eyes open.
are you? Identify yourselves.
Blackwatch were sent to seal the breach opened by Han Lichthammer and her men. To defeat Lichthammer, they'll need the combined power of the Jericho team.
I think they're clean, Nige.
You sure? The big man there was setting things on fire.
Don't fucking touch me.
Well now, who's been making pacts with fire demons? Nasty business, that. You're as mad as I am. Let them go, Nige. I think they're safe.
No hard feelings, chum.
I'm Major Patrick Buckland of the Black Watch, Office of Strategic Services, and this is Corporal Nigel Barndon.
Apologies for the reception, but it's been a long time since we've seen new faces in here.
Pat Buckland. The same Pat Buckland that served alongside Alistair Crowley in the OSS? You knew my father, Gideon Rawlings. We're with Jericho, same as you.
Bloody hell. Then the breach is open again?
65 years.
That all? Thank heavens we didn't have to wait as long as the last lot, eh?
The last.
You all might want to sit down for this.
Nothing makes much sense here in the Pixies. None of the normal rules apply. Death, hunger, day, night. If you die, the flies take you, and when you return, well, you may look human, but you belong to the Firstborn. You know about the Firstborn, right? God creates this thing, discovers it's too bloody powerful, and decides to wipe it off the face of the earth. But he can't kill it, so he creates the Pixies, this box, if you like. It's like a little slice of reality was carved out as a toy box, and we're the toys. It doesn't go away, mind you. It just sits, and it waits for some poor, disillusioned bastard to set it free. But this time, it grows larger, and when mankind manages to shut it away again, it takes a little piece of our world back to its prison. And of course it waits, and it grows stronger. So the next time it gets out...
it takes more of our world back with it.
And each time, 7 poor bastards blessed with a conjuring are sent into the breach to strike at its heart and send it away.
Until the next time, that is.
What was that?
Unwanted guests.
We'll have to continue our story some other time. We need to get you to the breach and past Jerry's defenses. Bloody hell! All right, chaps. Stay close and follow me.
Playing as Jones is nearly identical to playing as Ross from the beginning of the game. He has the same weapon, an assault rifle with a shotgun attached. His astral projection can be used to set up things like blood wards from a distance, but it's mostly used for puzzles we'll see later. Anyway, thanks to the members of Blackwatch, we now know why some of the enemies we've been killing get carried away by masses of flies. This is basically the Firstborn collecting them, and totally not to clear the corpses from the game's memory. Strange that Ross didn't suffer the same fate. Now, we've been able to play as her since Ross died, but I suppose I'll go over Abigail Black now. The group's sniper, Black possesses telekinetic powers that she's able to manipulate to such a degree that she can control her bullets after firing them. Abby is honestly the funnest member of Jericho to play in my opinion, as her sniper rifle is very satisfying to use and it comes with its own grenade launcher. It can only fire one grenade before reloading, but it makes dealing with enemies like explosive cultists a breeze. She can use her telekinesis to stun enemies in close range, but she's still very ineffective in melee, so she doesn't work in every situation.
Holy Mary, Mother of God!
Eventually we come to an impasse where Blackwatch explains the situation.
They built the gateway to the next level of the Pixies directly over the temple ruins. We need to get your team as close as we can. Jerry thinks he's gone and got one over on us. Little does he know that we had Private Tuck rig the whole bloody place to explode should they ever overrun us. Ready to give him a bollocking, Tuck?
You know what I think? I think we're in hell.
Okay, Tuck. Not really what we asked, but okay, yeah. Oh no, Tuck! With the demise of Private Tuck, it's up to Black to shoot the detonator to start the explosions. By hitting E when her rifle is glowing, we can send out a ghost bullet, which we can steer in flight. This bullet will actually penetrate enemies, making it very useful for getting multiple headshots if they're lined up correctly. With the way clear, Jericho continues deeper into the box.
That seems to be the last of them.
Lichthammer's minions attack the mosque that Blackwatch have been using as a refuge. Covering their escape, Blackwatch and Jericho detonate carefully placed bombs. Jericho needs to find the breach to get to the next time slice.
Sir, I'm detecting another intersection of ley lines nearby.
Right you are. He was gonna march them right through those gates there, down the path of souls, and from there...
The world.
Jerry's built that gate right over the top of the breach that leads deeper into the Pyxis. Which means first we've got to get you through that in one piece. Looks like you're gonna have to get your hands on Lichthammer if you're gonna get out of here. I don't envy you.
So, if you're feeling a little lost, that's okay, because the game kind of throws a lot of terms at you without really explaining them all that well. Essentially, the Firstborn is big bad, like in the world kind of bad. It's also unkillable, so the best anyone's been able to do is seal it up in a pocket dimension called the Pyxis, or the box. That's what we're in now. Every time someone's opened the box in order to claim the first one's power, or just because they didn't know what they were doing, someone's had to go inside to seal it again. And as we can see from meeting members of Blackwatch, they don't come out. We make our way through multiple firefights where we run into another variant of the meat soldiers. This one has a giant mortar, and they like to hide in the back and fire it at us. Using Abby's ghost bullet or grenade launcher to get around the cover is very useful here. Eventually we come across a wide open area facing huge walls, atop of which mortar soldiers lob explosives at us. No matter how many times we kill these things, they'll keep respawning. What we need to do is use Jones's astral projection on one of them. It's harder than it looks. But after fighting with the controls, we're able to see the fuel tanks it wants us to blow up, and we direct Delgado's pyromancy to do just that.
You Yanks aren't very subtle, are you? Every Jerry from miles around is going to come running now. I think we need a new approach, lads. Why don't a team of you go after Lichthammer, and the rest of us create a diversion? Maybe draw off some of the defenders.
Okay, Church, Rawlings, and Cole will go after Fraulein Lichthammer. The rest of you stay behind and lead the diversionary assault.
Whilst part of the Jericho team and the British commando unit stay behind to form a diversion, Rawlings with Church and Cole infiltrate Lichthammer's hideout to find out how to get through the next breach. You start the next section as Cole, and that's when I remember, oh yeah, she can turn on her visor. This functions as kind of a zoom in, but it mostly allows you to see enemy weak points. More of a gimmick than anything, but neat nonetheless. The trek through the Nazi facility is fairly long and a bit difficult since you're down most of the squad. It's mostly narrow hallways, so we make use of Billy's sword and Rawlings' shotgun ammo. Equipping both of his pistols with this ammo and firing them at the same time gives you some of the most burst damage in the game, and is how I prefer to play the Preacher Man.
Have you come to join us? We never turn down good flesh, especially not the men of God. How's your faith today, Father?
I've come to have a word with you, Hannah.
Only if you're prepared to beg for it.
It wasn't a request.
Round 2 with Lichthammer is much like the first, except she never stops coming back. Our goal here is to use Billy's Blood War to stun and hold the Nazi in place.
Your pimp has taught you well. So obedient. Where did you ever find them, Father?
Ignore her. Been doing this for 40 years and they still can't think of a single original thing to say.
Original? How's this for original? The blood bitch wants you with fuck her the way her father did. Isn't that right?
I'll take it from here. Step away from her. In nomine Patris.
Do you think the word of God has any meaning here, pederast? Son of a whore! Defiler of children!
Amen!
I devour you!
Okay, so the QuickTime event for subduing Lichthammer isn't that hard if you don't fuck up the first input, but it goes on way too long.
That explains her reluctance to cooperate. The gateway to the next level of the Pyxis. Somehow she's absorbed it. Made herself the key to opening the breach. It's inside of her. Billy, rejoin the others and help with the diversion. Now we'll take our friend here to the gateway.
The key to opening the breach is in Lichthammer's own vile blood. This must be extracted in a blood ritual to allow Jericho to pass deeper into the box. The rest of Jericho, joined by Church, engages the enemy head-on. Most of the encounters here are in long corridors, making Black an excellent way to clear enemies. Eventually, Rawlings informs us that he needs Billy to meet with him to complete the ritual to open the gateway.
We need you, Billy. You're the only one skilled in sanguimancy.
What do I do?
Spill her blood and open the gateway. Hurry! We can't hold her much longer.
He's deceived you all! Kill me and there's no way back to your world!
For God's sake, do it!
Please! Please! Help me, Philomena!
Only my daddy called me Wilhelmina. My name's Billy.
That looks like your train.
Aren't you coming?
Wouldn't do you much good, I'm afraid. The Firstborns had plenty of time to get to know us. It can smell us centuries away. We'd be more a liability than a help. Besides, we have to take precautions, just in case, see?
In case what?
In case you don't succeed. You can't close the breach.
Someone's got to stay behind and make sure the next lot make it through. Such is the fate of Jericho, I'm sorry to say. Life's great reward.
Sir, the breach is weakening. We need to go.
Oh, and Captain, once you get on the other side, get to the fortress as fast as you can. The Templars will tell you the rest.
Did he say Templars?
Exist tomorrow. Now you know why. Jericho.
The breach opens onto the remains of a river of blood, guts, and human limbs. Above them, on a huge bridge, a gigantic Crusader armory advances towards the fortress of Les Innocents.
Cole, can you give me a reading on the date? How far back have we gone?
We're not gonna find out standing around here.
According to planetary alignment, the year is 1213 AD, sir.
Which way?
Jones, you got any hunches we can follow?
The riverbed feels right.
Thanks to the planetary alignment, or whatever, we know that the period of time trapped in this part of the box is centuries behind the last one. And it is indeed a river of blood. We come across the flying cultists we fought before as Ross. These guys can be a pain since they like to move around a lot, do a good amount of damage to your entire squad, and have way more health than you'd think. Honestly, the best way to take them out, I find, is with Delgado and Ababanilli, not taking pot shots with Rawlings like I'm doing here. Black's Ghost Bullet works well here too. After taking them out, we learn about Rawlings' other ability, Exorcism. By holding Q, we can drain our enemy of their health, healing those around us. I've never really found much use for this, but maybe in this playthrough we can test it out some more. Unfortunately, we can't use it much right away since the next enemies we meet are explosive cultists, which, yeah, aren't the best targets for this ability. It gets rid of the need to aim at their weak spots, but we have to get pretty close, which means we'll probably end up hurting our squad more than healing them. Now, as you can probably tell, this game is pretty much a corridor shooter. Again, 2007 game, it's what they made back then. Most encounters test your ability to survive against waves of respawning enemies, like here there's about 5 or 6 waves of exploding cultists. In most shooters, I'd say this is a flaw, and to you it might still be a flaw here, but I think it works for Jericho. The squad mechanics and the multiple abilities you have access to make optimizing your gameplay more interesting than just shoot better. We move through the River of Blood, fighting more exploding and flying cultists. Some of the flying cultists have shields that make them even more annoying since they block your bullets and they always use them to protect one side of their heads. This makes a Babanilli and Ghost Bullet even more of a good choice for taking them out. We travel further down the river, where we run into an invisible wall, and get frustrated, and walk around, wondering where we go, but oh yeah, that thing's an enemy! I believe these are called Behemoths, and they're more obstacles than enemies. They can't move from the spots they spawn in, and their only attack is a spray of blood from their big mouths? I guess it's a mouth. It doesn't do much damage, and every time we encounter them, there's cover that our squad uses to be basically invincible to its damage. Now, our squad also won't be hurting them, because the only way to kill them is by shooting all the runes surrounding its face? I don't know, it looks like a butthole to me. We're getting sprayed with blood doo-doo, it's canon, deal with it. Our squad does not know this to be the case, however, and will just sit there, popping out of cover every once in a while to not do any damage. By far the best way to take these out is with Abby. She can destroy a rune with 2 shots from her sniper rifle, or 1 from her grenade launcher or ghost bullet. The ghost bullet is also useful if you're having trouble hitting a rune because the behemoth is flying around. The behemoth sinks into the River of Blood, allowing us to cross over. Why we don't sink, I don't know. Maybe the behemoth dissolved? I mean, we're walking on ground in some parts. How was it even sitting there? You know, we don't have time to think about this since we run into another behemoth after a short distance. Make that 2. 2 behemoths. This fight is a little trickier than the first since you have to be mindful of 2 spurts of red ass water when you take your shots. Still, Abby's ghost bullet can take care of one and then the other goes down just like the first. You'll notice here that I'm not really zooming in with Black's sniper rifle, and that's because you really don't have to a lot of the time. It's useful for headshots on the smaller enemies, but you really don't lose accuracy for no-scoping it. We don't do many 360s though. With those 2 down, we continue on to find another. Yeah, the behemoths are a nice set piece, but don't make for terribly interesting encounters. This one is special though, since it can apparently only be taken down via QuickTime events. That's kind of Billy's other superpower. She does a lot of quick time events. Pretty much any time we're forced to take control of her, expect some kind of quick time event. We continue on getting out of the river. We see the child again, who doesn't have anything to say. It's just here to help us with the puzzle. Thanks, child. We use Jones to clairvoyance ourselves to a lever and pull it to lower a bridge. Our path is still barred by a gate, however, and this gate can only be opened by Delgado, cause he's so strong.
Omega Team, suppressing fire. Alpha Team, across the bridge now.
You cannot help them. They belong to the children now. The damned ones can smell your souls. It calls to them like fresh carrion to a jackal. We must get you inside.
Separated from their friends, Delgado, Black, and Church can only continue on through the dark, twisting passages infested with unknown danger. In the distance, they hear the faint cries of small children.
This way. Stay close, brothers.
What about our men? We're not leaving without them.
You cannot help them now. Please, this way. All will be explained soon.
It's a trap!
Your friends are the least of your worries. I have delivered the heathens as you requested, Your Grace.
Your dedication and sacrifice to our Lord will be greatly rewarded. You and your men have earned your place in the kingdom of heaven 1,000 times over.
Don't be a jackass. He's lying. He's trying to set the firstborn free.
Silence, witch! You dare address the Seraphim Gabriel?
Rise, my son. There is still much work to do for our Lord.
Of course, Your Grace. It will be my honor. What will you have us do with the heretics?
Leech, I want you to know, when I get out of here, I'm gonna eat your soul.
Let them entertain the children.
There has to be another way out of here.
This just keeps getting more and more fucked up. Billy, we need your silent efficiency to clear the way.
Let me scout ahead. They won't even know I'm there.
What follows is probably the first fairly difficult stretch of the game, mostly because of our...
Shut the fuck up.
Hey, I'm the one doing the video here, okay? You're lucky this isn't another Mario com joke. Anyway, it's only game over if all our characters die, and with only 3, one bad exploding cultist can be real bad news. There is kind of a stealth option here. We can sneak up with Billy and get one-shot kills with our sword on unsuspecting enemies. If we mess up, though, it'll spawn other enemies and start a normal encounter. This is not a stealth game. We're mostly just trying our best and hoping the game registers a stealth kill, which sometimes it does, and others, well...
This one's mine. There's one.
I suppose the explodey boy isn't a good stealth target anyway. This underground section goes on for a while, and we mostly stick to Billy and Delgado. Black is useful for taking out explosive cultists, but the reload on her grenade launcher means eventually one will close the distance in such close quarters. She's mostly just used for quote-unquote puzzles where we have to use her telekinesis to move things in our way. And this one where we have to go around and shoot something in our way. Again, Billy can struggle on hard mode with the normal cultists because of their higher damage and her low health. But in the small corridors like this, her blood ward can make some fights trivial. Eventually, the team hears crying coming from behind another wall that Abby can blow down.
Stay back. Abby, bind him. You were one of the Knights Templar, right?
No knights left here. Just blind fools and heretics.
Come on, we're wasting time. We need to find a way out.
There is no way out. We are in a prison inside a prison inside a prison.
Tell me everything. Start from the beginning.
In the year of our Lord 1213, a young bishop, Malthius Sinclair, convinced Pope Innocent III that he had discovered the site for the Garden of Eden, and that it was in the hands of infidels. He volunteered to lead a crusade to take it back.
And your men were sent to help him capture Alkali?
On the contrary, we were sent to stop him. When word of Malthius's plot reached the Templar Knights, we left for Alkali at once. But by the time we arrived, the children, they were already dead.
What children?
Malthius had convinced the Pope that Christian children could not be harmed by heathen spear tip or arrow, and so a child army arrived 3 days before us and marched against the Saracens. The blood from their slaughter opened the breach. I'm sure you can guess the rest of this tale. We've been here ever since. I wasn't the first to lose my mind, nor the last.
What about the bishop?
Oh, he's down there still, in the crypt with the children he sent to die. That place belongs to them now. If that's where your friends are, you best say a prayer and leave it at that.
Fuck that. Time to go.
You're coming with us.
With you? Even if they'd allow it, where should I go? There's nothing outside these walls, or the countless walls beyond. If you do find your way to the next breach, be sure to send my regards to the Centurion. I'm sure he's still hanging about somewhere.
After centuries of fighting without rest, insanity has seized the last Templars. Leech's treachery has forced what remains of Jericho to the confines of the infected sewers of Les Innocents.
Do you hear something?
Footsteps.
No, not just footsteps. It's marching.
I think we're about to get some company.
Everyone, take cover.
What cover? We're exposed down here.
So yeah, if things weren't already dark before, we now apparently have undead child soldiers to worry about. By the way, as far as I know, there was no child army in the Crusades. Malthius isn't a real person, and Pope Innocent III, well, he was a real crusade happy guy, but as far as I can tell, he kept to good old-fashioned religious murder. Anyway, here we start fighting some new enemies, the Crusaders. They come in two variants, the first being these assholes that fire exploding crossbow bolts, and the other being a quick melee fighter with a shield. Abby is great for taking out the crossbow wielders since they like to hide and cover, but either Billy or Delgado are best for the shield guys. Billy can get around their shield with her sword, and they don't have nearly as much health as the cultists. Delgado is still probably the best choice, however, since they can only block 2 or 3 shots from his minigun before their guard breaks, and he's more survivable. Eventually, the party gets stuck, and Billy has to go off on her own through a tunnel to find a way out. Also, if we die here, we go all the way the fuck back, like 3 firefights ago, and have to go all the way. Eventually, Billy finds a hole that contains a quick time event. To be fair, that one is actually kind of tense with the Crusaders slowly following us down the well? I mean, we're in a sewer, so it's probably not a well. Shit's been through there. We can now use Billy's other ability, Fire Ward. Much like Blood Ward, this drains a bit of her health, but sets every enemy around it on fire. We have to use the Fire Ward to start this fight, so it's easy to die here since we are already low on health. Thankfully, we just go back to after the quick time event. We pull a lever and let the rest of our squad through.
Miss me?
Since trapping themselves inside the box, the Crusaders have continually waged war. These religious zealots have discovered that since they cannot die, they can pay homage to their god by inflicting torture and mutilation on themselves. They take great pleasure in mailing armor straight into their flesh and replacing limbs with devastating weaponry. The next area is much more open than the sewers, making Abby a much better choice. You'll also notice that her telekinesis now sets enemies on fire, whereas before it just stunned them. Flying cultists now join the fray again and are much tougher without a whole squad to fire on them. Billy is basically useless against them unless you time a Blood Ward really well when they come in close, so Ghost Bullet and a Babinilli are the best choices here, or a minigun. Billy is much more useful against the Crusaders as her Fire Ward eats up the melee cultists without you having to do much, and the crossboys don't have much, if any, melee capabilities. Also, Abby pushes walls. Again, that's who she is, the wall pusher. Pushing walls. The last fight here is in a big open area with a lot of flying cultists. Delgado is really helpful here as his fire spirit one-shots the annoying suckers and doesn't care that they're in the air. Convinced that their innocence would protect them, Malthius and his army of children marched into the Holy Land to save the unfaithful. Malthius's entire child army was destroyed, and now he resides in the chapel in constant purgatory for his sins. Oh, hey guys. What's going on? So, more sewers. There's nothing really new here, except we sometimes face cultists, sometimes face Templars. It can actually be kind of easy to get turned around in here, even though there's basically only one way to go, or at least it's easy for me to get turned around. It's all dirty walls and sewer water and blood, and, well, eventually we get out of there and into a temple area.
Occupied? That's what I want to know.
Why don't you check?
Are you on crack, bruja? Shh. Venga, let's keep moving.
Immediately we meet a new set of enemies, which are, yeah, it's child ghosts. Well, just the top half of child ghosts. I mean, I do have a warning at the beginning for a reason, I guess. These guys can be kind of annoying because they're not always vulnerable. While they're in their transparent spirit forms, they just float around, letting you know that you have to wait to hit them. We can shoot them when they go all spooky zombie, though, and they don't have much health. They're weak to fire, so Delgado and Billy's Fire Ward are especially useful. They can dish out a good amount of damage, though, and since there are usually several of them, it can be hard to know when one's behind you. After a few fights with the children, Jericho eventually finds a way out of these particular ruins. Protected by a black rose, Malthius continues to endure the wrath of the slaughtered children. A hope remains that somewhere, someone can defeat Malthius and lay to rest the souls of the suffering children.
It's okay, Simone. You're safe now.
Don't touch me.
You're hurt. Let me help you.
I said don't fucking touch me! Everyone stay back!
What the hell happened to you guys?
The children. My God. So much anger, so much hatred. They wanted us to suffer as much as they suffered.
It's like they were in my head, cutting from the inside.
I think Cole got the worst of it. You know she has problems. Fear of the dark, fear of being touched, fear of tight spaces.
Let me talk to her.
Don't touch me!
It's okay, Simone. Tell me about that number you like so much. The Golden Principle. Was that what you called it?
This isn't real! Nothing here is real!
How did that number go, Simone? You called it something. Phi?
Phi! Phi! The divine proportion.
Phi, right. How did that go?
1.6, 180, 33988.
Good. Now, let's lower the gun.
7498.
Neat trick. What'd you do, rebooter?
Just one of the benefits of sharing a bunk with her. Now if we could just work on the bedwetting.
Did you make contact with the Templars?
Oh yeah, we had a great meeting. They think Arnold Leach and his flying circus are the Holy Seraphim, and we're the bad guys.
I'm sorry I missed that.
We need to find the next breach and get the hell out of here.
The team reunites and we see a little bit there about Simone Cole's character. Remember, she doesn't have the same kind of supernatural powers the others have. She's basically a normal person, well, a really smart normal person, that is having to deal with reality-bending magic and technology. We never learn what trauma sparked all her phobias, but it's clear this place is affecting her more than the others. I don't believe this is said anywhere in the campaign, but through her bio we also learn that she's autistic. Here we can now use her Firestorm ability. While it's active, the entire squad's ammo now does additional fire damage. This is very useful against some enemies, like the Child Templars. Both this ability and her temporal loop can be used for only a set amount of time until Cole breaks with reality, which will put both of these abilities on cooldown. It only takes a short while before the team enters a chapel where Malthius resides.
Have you come to confess your sins, my children?
We were just leaving.
How dare you defile this holy place and make demands, heretic! You reek of sin! Kneel before me and be cleansed!
What's he saying? Same shit they told me when I was expelled from Catholic school, and I'm gonna give him the same answer.
Looks like the kids want a piece of Malthius as much as we do.
Can you blame them?
This fight is more of a puzzle than anything. For the most part, Malthius has a shield that makes him completely invulnerable. The children will attack him but not do any damage, with the odd one or two breaking off to attack us. Eventually, Malthius will charge up an attack with an enormous radius that will down any character it hits. This attack will also break his shield, however, so our goal here is to bait this attack, run away or find cover, and hit him while he's down. This is easier said than done, however, because our teammates don't know that. Or at least, sometimes they don't know that. Sometimes one or more of our squad members will see that Malthius is charging his attack and book it to the other end of the room. Most of the time, they'll just stand there and get killed. The only cover we have is an altar at the beginning of the room, so it's best to just sit there, hit him, and then heal your teammates that were too stupid to get out of the way. We do this about 3 times until Malthius is defeated.
Now that is karma.
I think that's our cue to leave.
Exist tomorrow. Now you know why. Jericho.
The dead suffer endless pain as they hang tortured from crucifixes. The Jericho team makes their way through the fields of tortured souls to seek out Cassus Vicus.
I think it's safe to say we're now under Roman rule.
Could be worse. At least the Romans were civilized.
Oh yeah, they were real civil. I mean, besides the crucifixions and the gladiatorial exhibitions, the slavery.
And let's not forget that unfortunate incident with Christ. We are, technically speaking, chaplains.
Oh, you're the historian, Jones. What can you tell us about this place?
Well, if Simone can get me to fix on the year.
1st century, sir. 38 AD.
38 AD? Wow, you sure? Never mind, of course you are. That means it's the reign of, let's see.
Caligula.
Yeah. How'd you know that?
Call it a lucky guess.
Let's see. It's the beginning of the fall of the Empire. And this is really far south for the Romans. No man's land, basically. I mean, if I was a Roman centurion and I was sent to garrison Al-Khali, it would have been like...
Exile.
Al-Khali is about as far from Roman law as you can get.
With Emperor Caligula on the throne, I think that's a good thing, don't you?
We need to keep moving. Stick to the road. You keep an eye out for Leech and his men.
As soon as we load the Roman level, we see this big-ass dude with a shield, so we try to sneak up on him and nope, bad idea. These fellas are legionaries, and they know how to use their shields a lot better than other enemies we've come across. Their shields block everything that hits them, including explosions, unless those explosions are aimed at their feet. They actually have fairly low health considering their absolute size, so the challenge here is timing your shots or ability uses to get around the shield. They use javelins as weapons, and they can throw them real fast too, so we've only got a short time to get shots in between their attacks. There are a couple ways to take them down fairly easily, such as a Babanili who can just go behind the shield. Cole can also get behind the shield by using her temporal loop and shooting him in the head.
Fucker!
Eventually we come across a gate that only Delgado's strong, manly arm can lift. We'll come across a couple of those in this level. Behind that, we get into another gauntlet of cultists, both of the exploding and not exploding variety. This one gives us some trouble as the explodey boys spawn very close to where our squad takes cover, which inevitably means some of them are going to go down. Unfortunately, by the time we get them back up, another spawn is all ready to bust, to explode. You can probably avoid this by telling the squad to move back near the gate, but we didn't. I can't change the past, okay? After that, we take on a couple of legionaries in a slightly smarter fashion by using a Babanili and temporal loop. Right after that, we have another cultist jamboree, but this time the explosive hombres spawn below us and try to come up behind me, but I see you, motherfucker. The other cultists have a long approach, so it's best to let your squad take care of them while you deal with the explosive cultists because your squad won't care. They haven't cared up to this point. They don't get it, alright? They're just gonna keep getting exploded on, and you just have to let it happen. You can't keep letting them bring you down, okay? Part of helping others is realizing when you can't help. Goddamn. Continuing on, we see a lot of cover, and it's our old pal, the Behemoth. This is the last one in the game, and he's no different than the others. Just shoot the runes and don't die. Oh, and yeah, you do have to do a quick time event for this one also. It's the same one as last time. They didn't have time to make another. Alright, round 2, Billy. Let's do that. Okay, just poop out some fire and run away. We typically don't fight these guys in big groups, but obviously when we do, Fire Ward is very useful since it goes right past their shields. After taking care of them, one of the poor souls on the crucifixes starts talking to us.
Clear!
We are here to help you. What's your name?
Mano suas in me ponat id lingua eos dicam.
I think he wants to communicate through Jones.
How do we know he's on our side?
Yeah, fuck that. Don't do it, man.
It's all right. Of course, if it looks like I'm in trouble...
He's toast.
Somebody help him!
No, wait.
You have come for the firstborn, correct?
We have. Who are you?
I am Tertius Longinus, the last of 7 Praetorians sworn to protect the world from the wrath of the firstborn. Do you seek the secret of the Pyxis?
We do. Tell us what you know.
Hidden here among the guards of the depraved governor Vicus Cassus, we watched as he turned Al-Khali into a carnival of decadence and depravity. The firstborn had enticed Vicus to open the breach, and while it busied itself with fresh meat, my brothers and I traveled deep into the Pyxis to perform the rites to collapse the breach.
We seek the same knowledge. The breach has been opened again. Tell us what to do.
You realize the price you pay for coming here?
We do.
No! Bullshit! There has to be another way!
The cycle will continue until the firstborn possesses that which its creator refused to give it. That which mankind takes for granted.
Freedom!
Freedom is merely the absence of chains, just as evil is the absence of love.
I don't understand. If not freedom, what does the firstborn want? We have nothing to give it.
then the cycle will continue!
Jones, get out of there! Let go!
How do we break the cycle? What does the firstborn want?
God damn it! Do something!
Varkas, you seek Varkas! He alone can open the breach that leads to the heart of the Pixis!
Jones, break the link! You have to let go!
Where? Where do we find Varkas?
He's dying! Damn you, let him go!
Follow the waters! Find the waters and you find the breach!
Enough already! Don't do anything that stupid again.
That was worse than having Ross in my head. No offense.
I don't see any water around here. What did he mean?
An aqueduct, maybe?
I doubt it. The only water you're likely to find out here will be under the ground in a well or
a bath.
So now we set out on our quest for a bath. Jericho could probably use one of those right now.
You just made the list!
We come across a lot more people being crucified. And yeah, you can shoot them. I always shoot people who are crucified in games if you can't free them. I wonder if I'm the only one. Not that it really matters in the box, but you know, makes me feel better. We come across more legionaries. The best way to take them out as Rawlings is to use his explosive ammo and fire at their feet. But it's far from the quickest or safest method. Soon, flying cultists join the fray, another enemy the preacher has trouble with. I don't know why we're using them. Here, give me the controller. Mom said it's my turn to play. There are a lot of enemies in our path, but it's also a very large area, so we can take our time as we move through. Eventually, we find an entrance to underground and head through it. The suffering of Tertius Longinus has lasted 3,000 years and will continue for eternity until someone hands him over to the Firstborn. To get to Cassus Vicus, the team must gain passage into the corrupt city through the Behemoths. The Caldarium awaits.
It smells like shit and death in there.
Oh, well, hell, Delgado. That's because there is shit and death in there. This isn't gonna be a good bath, is it? With the way blocked and the only route left to flame, it's up to Delgado to use his fire shield to find a way. That is, if we remember the right hotkey and don't try to summon a Babinilli instead. No, if we do that, he's just gonna die. Thankfully, we don't do that and make our way through unscathed. We come across two friends hugging the fuck out of each other, but they get mad at us for interrupting. Our anti-friend act causes all the other cultists to try and mend our ways through vigorous hugging. This is the first of several gauntlets we have to run through with Delgado here, and they take a while. Delgado is the best suited to doing this solo because of his health and minigun, but gosh, do a lot of those cultists take baths. One gate raised and one cultist shot, and we have to use the fire shield again to cross some heated steel beams. And that's the last we'll see of the fire shield for the rest of the game. This gauntlet takes forever. It's only explosive cultists, but there's a lot of them, though only 2 will be out at one time. We just hold down that fire button and pray their weak points are on their front. The next bath section is yet another long gauntlet, this time with both explosive and normal cultists. The normies will spawn up the stairs in the distance, with the explosive cultists popping up down with us. Always go for the explosive cultist first. If you don't, this happens, which only happened because I wanted to make a point, okay? This is a teaching moment. After we're done with that, we move up the stairs, popping the heads of the remaining cultists on our way. Then we turn a corner and, oh, Clive, you rascally devil, you sure got me.
You just made the list!
So yeah, you have to do that whole gauntlet again. Far as I know, the only way to not die there is to have a Babinilli out and shoot it around the corner. Fuck you. Anyway, we pull a lever and thus comes to a close the solo ventures of Frank Delgado. With the team reunited, we fight through a few more cultists before reaching the next area. The decadent culture of the inhabitants has transformed the baths into a repulsive torture chamber. Pools of vomit, baths of blood and excrement complement the torture and sadomasochism. What the fuck, Clive? We come across some more legionaries with their backs turned. Most of our encounters with these enemies start this way, letting us plan a bit more on our approach. I wish more of this game was like this as opposed to just straight up gauntlets, but at least we get what we get. And yeah, that's probably poop. How'd you like to be the guy I told to make the shit bath textures? Eventually we're attacked by flying cultists and more legionaries. This is an annoying duo since they both have shields and can't always be hit, but they aren't too dangerous in wide open areas like this.
Sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus indeed. Here we get kinda stuck until we figure out we have to use Jones to clairvoyance ourselves a puzzle. The child appears and we have to jump from it to several legionaries that are patrolling the hallways. It's pretty finicky like all the other clairvoyance puzzles, but eventually we find the right lever. This causes all the legionaries we are looking through to rush in at us. I actually find Jones pretty effective at taking them out in close quarters, since one shotgun to the head is usually enough to take them out. As long as they're not focused on you, it's pretty easy to flank them. Getting past those guys, we indulge in some of the lovely decor. We find a large bathtub just like filled with feces, but also cultists who come to help out their big brothers. The area gets more lavish as we move through, and eventually we come to the entrance to a palace. Vicus's luxurious palace lies between the villa and the fortress, designed to the twisted taste of its owner. He has transformed the old temple that was once dedicated to the classical deities into his own personal hell. It's only more legionaries as we travel further in, so we shoot them in the face as best we can. The temple is kind of a nice change of pace since it's actually clean in parts. You know, less blood and shit, less screaming meat. Pretty swanky. Abby starts to get really effective at taking out the legionaries as the areas get bigger. In some parts, she can take them out before they even all aggro, making her the best squad member to start out with through this area. We kill a bunch of legionaries that are pouring out of a set of doors. We hit through after dealing with them and oh, hey big boy. This here is a gladiator. He's big, he's dumb, he's slow, but he hits like a truck and is impervious to all damage from the front. He attacks mainly by just walking up to you and hitting you, but he can also extend his ball arm thing in an actually pretty quick attack. Now the deal here is his back is open, he's got an open back. And having an open back probably hurts if you shoot it. The only way to do damage is to shoot his back, is what I'm saying. By far the easiest way to do this is to switch characters, because once one does shoot his back, that's who he'll fixate on, and the AI isn't smart enough to shoot where they should. The biggest of boys down, we continue on, fighting yet more legionaries. Eventually we come to a standstill very similar to one in the World War II time slice. 4 legionaries throw javelins at us from across a chasm, but killing one just causes another to rush in and take his place. Positioning Jones to clairvoyance himself over there can be a bit awkward here since there isn't much cover he can peek out of and still be safe, but eventually we find a lever to close off reinforcements. No comment. We're not out of the woods yet, as we still need to find a way across the chasm. This calls for a quick time event. No, that didn't happen. Hold on. There you go, flawless. To get the rest of the team across, we have to actually use our ability to command our squad. I know, it's weird. While Billy stands on a floor switch, we have to position Omega and Alpha squads to stand on 2 more on the other side. This extends a bridge and we can continue on.
Let's go.
The gardens are lavishly decorated with fountains and statues. The surroundings look impeccably beautiful, but with Vicus's touch of sadism. I hear a friend hug. That's the only time I got stealth to work with Billy in this section, so you better appreciate it. Again, Abby is very useful here, as she can one-shot legionaries with a headshot and can use a ghost bullet if one is being particularly frisky.
Get up, guys!
Covering your flank.
Oh, is that what you were doing? After a few skirmishes with legionaries, we come across another Delgado gate.
New guests, have you come to join the feast? There's plenty for all. He's inside my head. Won't you come closer? My eyes have grown so weak over time.
Jesus.
Is that magic I smell amongst you? Why, this isn't another batch of outsiders come to ruin our party, is it? Oh, I love your kind more than any other. The sport is almost as satisfying as the flesh.
I got first dibs on the fat man.
He's all yours. I'm not getting anywhere near him.
And what's this? You bring witches with you too? You honor me. It's been so long since I tasted of both sexes.
Sir? Sir, the construction of this floor, sir.
Let's begin, shall we?
It's a trap, sir!
Vicus has enjoyed literally thousands of years of continuous sexual, gluttonous, and bloody orgies. Ew. And has no intention of it ending now. He'll do all he can to prevent those sent to close the breach and remove his hellish appetite.
Something about this stinks. And for once, it's not me.
Delgado farts. We travel a bit through a tunnel and, oh, this is gonna be an arena segment, isn't it?
I've seen this movie.
No, I don't think so. Not yet.
Governor Vicus, we've been sent to release you from this prison. Let us go, so that we can complete our mission and end the nightmare for you. For all of you.
Release me? Release me? Why would I want you to do that? We have found Elysium, have we not? Where we can feast and fuck and kill. And find no consequence. We are not prisoners here. This is freedom. Absolute. And you, my welcome visitors, are sport. Let them begin.
It is indeed an arena segment, with the first wave being some flying cultists. We do battle bravely before our endearing audience of 2D sprites representing insane, tortured Romans. After a short skirmish, we find we're blocked by some spikes. Ross lets us know that we just have to stand on some floor tiles like we did before. Apparently, back in the Colosseum, it was a favorite of the Roman citizenry to watch gladiators perform simple switch puzzles. Look at that shit, I stood in 3 places. I'm so goddamn smart. After we cross, we fight some more flying cultists. You might be wondering why Arnold Leach's cultists are here in such great numbers, and I just have to assume that when Arnold passed through this time slice, he offered them to Vicus in order to satiate his, needs. Whoa, another big boy. This one is called a Behemoth? That's as much as I can find. This is also a Behemoth. I'll call him Jerry. Jerry doesn't have much of a gimmick other than he's got a lot of health, hits hard, and will pretty much always focus who you're controlling. He'll also get confused sometimes and run away. Okay, dude, whatever you feel like. He's basically a health sponge, so Cole's Firestorm ability is useful to provide your squad with a damage buff as you carry him around. Jerry might look big and scary, but since he can't take out your squad all in one go, it's basically inevitable that he goes down before you do. After we take him out, we wait around a bit and hey, it's another Jerry! Delgado is definitely the best choice to go toe-to-toe with these guys. Just bait an attack, back up, and minigun. Now that sounds like an invitation, but when we approach the exit, Vicus throws a gladiator at us. Now that is just not good blood orgy manners, I tell you what. This guy is easier than the other one since we're in a wide open area. Just hit his back, wait for him to turn around, switch to another character, and repeat. Jericho's successful defeat of Vicus's pets moves them closer to removing the insatiable governor from power. Well, hello to you too. A brief walk in the dungeon and we come across our gracious host.
Enough of this folly! Allow me to show you how to entertain these good people.
Oh, very entertaining. I just love it when a party involves opening our stomach pussies and spraying blood from our intestines everywhere. Vicus is typically immune to damage, so your first instinct might be to shoot the gladiator in the middle of the room, but he's got a metal plate over his back because I guess he's the only smart gladiator in this place. No, the goal here is to have Vicus spray his various fluids in someone's face and shoot him while he's exposed. I like to use black here and fire grenades since the reload lines up nicely with his attack pattern. And that's basically it. Just dodge the gladiator's ball and Vicus's period blood till the fat man dies.
I believe the breach is in the abyss below. There are ley lines emerging from Vicus's corpse.
Let me push the fat bastard over then.
For once, Abby gets to push something other than walls, though it's a fat, rotted, bleeding corpse, so I'm not sure she appreciates it.
There it is!
What now? Do we go through?
Where else can we go? This has to be the last level of the Pyxis. The Brit said we passed through 3 before we reached the firstborn itself. The question is, how far will the rabbit hole take us this time? I think we better go.
The original time slice where the 7 Sumerian priests held the firstborn for the first time. The origin of all, the seed of all evil.
Dear God in heaven.
It's beautiful.
Where's the rest of the city?
This is it. This is Al-Khali as it first existed. This is the beginning.
Then that must be the reason we're here.
It doesn't exactly look like the seed of all evil to me.
It's not a seed. It's a cocoon. The real evil is inside. If we can banish the cocoon, we banish the firstborn.
So what now?
We climb.
It's Leech! Look! Damn it! He's around!
From this point forward, the only normal enemies we'll be facing are cultists, and here is the last gauntlet we face. We fight all 3 variants, though it's not too tough, and after a short firefight, we approach the temple.
Resupply it.
Let him hang, guys.
Jonesy!
Heal yourselves, brothers and sisters. You are welcome here.
Who's there? Show yourself!
I am Antiduranu, the founder of your brotherhood. I have waited eons to pass on my knowledge so that you may seal the wound and banish this abomination from our world.
Then you know why we're here. We've been sent to close the breach.
Yes, as were the priests of this temple. The High Priestess Ereshkigal was seduced by the Firstborn through her dreams, and taught the blood rites that opened the breach. She led an army of 10,000 across the desert from the city of Ur to build this temple.
And when the construction was complete, she slaughtered them all.
As their blood ran down the steps of the temple, the breach was opened and the Firstborn walked the earth again. But we seven had disguised ourselves amongst her army to follow her into the Pyxis.
What happened to the others?
Lost all of them. Enraged by our betrayal, Ereshkigal unleashed the power of the Firstborn to transform the others into the demons that now guard her. Only I escaped to close the breach and seal the Pyxis. I knew that my seal would not last forever, so with the last of my power, I sent a message out. I commanded my disciples to establish a sacred order to hold vigil and guard against the return of Ereshkigal and the Firstborn.
Jericho.
That is but one of the names our order has worn through the eons. Though the name may change, the sacred duty, your duty, remains the same. You must close the breach or the Firstborn will take revenge on mankind.
Tell us how.
The demons that guard the temple have each claimed a piece of me. Slay them, and reassemble me so that I can reseal the breach, and then the world will be safe again.
Until the next time.
We won't fail you. We've come too far for that.
Walking in, we come to a round room where nothing seems to happen until... all the Sumerian statues look directly at us and nothing seems to happen. We wait around long enough, though, until strange rays of light start to take members of Jericho away. Jericho has gone. Without his team, Ross is alone. If he wants to resuscitate Antedurunu, he'll have to get to the urns that hold the ashes, but first he must find a body.
Shh.
Ross!
I'm here.
God, I hate when you do that.
What follows is a short solo segment as Black. It's not too difficult as long as you can get headshots, since the cultists we come upon are always alone. And even if you're not good at headshots, Ghost Bullet can be used to both scout ahead and chain kill any enemies in our way.
Abby, can you hear me? It's Jones.
I'm almost there! Don't worry!
We find Jones caged up with no way to free him. That is, until we figure out we can switch to him, and that probably means we have to use clairvoyance. By using Jones's power on one of the tortured dudes on the wall, we can wiggle our camera around a lot trying to find the spot it wants us to look at. Eventually we find a lever and free our beautiful boy. Black and Jones are united. The urn containing Antederunu's skin is near. That's a really hard name to say. Anyway, we immediately come across a boss fight. The gist here is we're doing battle with original members of what we know as Jericho Squad. In this case, a sorceress stands in the middle of a ring of fire, while another member is trapped in a contraption that swings around and periodically makes him bleed into the fire. For some reason, this act causes a cultist to spawn. I don't know how it works, just go with it. I find it best to be Jones for this part, letting Abby snipe from afar and healing her if a cultist gets too close. The sorceress is the easiest target, but has a lot of health. Her fireballs are pretty easy to dodge though, so it's just a matter of time before she goes down. That isn't the end of the fight, however. No, we also have to deal with the fella and the thing that's swinging around the ceiling. We can't hurt him while he's in there, though, and unfortunately, the only way to get him out is through using clairvoyance on some conveniently placed torture victims. During the downtime after killing a spawn cultist, we need to use Jones to see up into the ceiling and use telekinesis on the thing, which opens it up. Then we shoot the dude in it. Then we're done. Shoo! We move a bit further and are reunited with our buddies.
Miss me?
Nah.
Let's stick together this time.
Fuck you. Contact has been lost with the rest of the team. They must be located before the demons get to them. With Frank and Paul joining us, we get into a scuffle with some flyers. After, we walk down a couple of long, bloody hallways before we come across more original members of Jericho who are now demonified. This time, we have one standing atop a dais who has a shield making them invulnerable. Above that is another constrained to a contraption that makes them spill blood, this time spawning a rotted version of a gladiator. This gladiator can be shot anywhere though, or at least can be shot in the neck since it doesn't have a head. Anyway, it goes down a lot quicker than the other gladiators, but is obviously a nuisance since it'll keep spawning. What we have to do here is shoot the victims that are sprawled on these wheel things that are pumping blood into the fountain. It's a little awkward since our reticle doesn't turn red when we scroll over these guys, so it might take some players a while to figure this out. This exposes the back of the demons spawning the gladiators, making them vulnerable. Killing them causes a couple of cultists to spawn, but also kills the demon atop the fountain.
Nice of you to join us.
Reunited, and it feels so good. Another urn is released, but the beams of light return to spirit us away. Cole and Church have finally appeared. The Sumerian demons lie in wait to destroy Jericho.
Those two are Nana and Utu! They get their power from the flies!
Okay, Nana and Utu, got it. The final two demons are much more aggressive than the others. Cultists litter the battlefield, but the demons are mobile this time and will follow us. They're pretty slow and inaccurate with their attacks, but they're also invulnerable. The clue here is the flies, which are apparently originating from these sacks of people meat things. We have to endure the demons' attacks and destroy every sack of flesh hanging from the ceiling, which makes them vulnerable. I find Delgado to be the best at this. Though he's slow, his minigun tears up the fly sacks and he doesn't mind taking a hit or two. With the flies thinned and the cultists slain, we just have to focus our fire on the demons before releasing the last part of, whatever his name is.
Threat eliminated.
The resurrection ritual that has taken place so many times over thousands of years is about to begin for the last time. The survival of the species depends on the sacrifice of these 7 soldiers.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
You have succeeded in your sacred duty.
Your sacrifice for mankind will never be forgotten.
What happens now?
I will bind myself to the breach. Once the gateway is closed, we will sleep until we are called on to guide our brothers and sisters once again.
Will we dream?
It is a dreamless sleep. And in joining us, you will share in the knowledge of all who have come before you and be one with them. Our peace will only be broken when evil men again seek the firstborn. I must go now. The breach widens.
I guess this is it. It's been a pleasure serving with you, Xavier.
Hold on to me, Frank.
Ross, can you hear me?
I'm here.
What's gonna happen to you?
I don't know. Whatever it is, gonna be much worse than this.
Are you scared?
Are you?
No.
Simone, are you okay?
I'm okay, sir.
I'm sorry I brought you into this. You deserve better. Would you like to pray with me?
I'm an atheist, sir.
I guess not then.
He's lying!
What?
I said he's lying! You believe that bullshit about a dreamless sleep? Am I the only one that's been paying attention?
Look, I understand your apprehension, but...
What about the others? The Templars? The Centurion? They're not dreaming. They're not one with the great beyond. They're losing their minds in purgatory, exactly where we're gonna find ourselves when he closes that breach. That bastard is lying through his gold fucking teeth.
What are you suggesting?
We fight. If I'm gonna die here, I'm gonna die with my hands around the throat of whatever waits on the other side.
I can't let you do that.
Don't even think it.
Stop it, both of you.
Get out of the way, Billy.
Wait, let's just think about this a minute, okay? Maybe he's right.
We have a sacred duty to perform.
Sacred duty, my balls! We've been lied to, asshole! And I'm starting to think you've been in on it the entire time.
Black, secure Delgado.
What if he's right? Something doesn't make sense.
I gave you an order.
Damn it, Paul. Would you listen to me?
I'm the ranking officer here.
No, you're not.
What the hell do you think you're doing, Ross? He's going to destroy everything. There's a whole world outside full of innocent people. You think your life isn't worth saving that?
I think he's right, Paul.
Have you lost your fucking mind?
My mind is the only thing I haven't lost today.
Betray, and everything you love is lost.
Everything I love is right here.
What do we do now?
We kill it.
They said it can't be killed.
Watch me.
Jericho squad, let's do this. It's your choice, Rawlings. I won't force you to follow us.
There's no turning back. In his arrogance, Frank Delgado has perhaps sealed the fate of all humanity. At the moment when the firstborn came down to Earth, he was on the other side. But can a god be killed?
Where the hell are we?
We're at the bottom of a huge chasm. Spectral analysis indicates a massive unstable energy source nearby.
Nice of you to join us.
I never was very good at following orders, holy or otherwise.
Cole, can you give me a location on that energy source?
It's moving fast and closing on us. It's going to come out of that tunnel, sir.
At last,
The final pieces of the puzzle.
is this what it is to have a soul?
Drawn light
Insects,
to the
light of power, only to be added to my own.
Cole, scan him for weaknesses. The rest of you, let's keep him talking.
Sir,
You're not gonna find us as easy to drain as Leech.
Possibly.
But anything
Worth having is worth
fighting for.
And after
I've absorbed your power.
I will
Finally
have enough to break free of this prison. Now?
Come to me.
Sir, I believe he is going to channel our powers against us. However, if you're currently in possession of... Silence!
Oh shit, Rawlings! Fire!
That is one of the more shocking moments I've had in a game. Cole and Jones were perhaps the most, maybe likable isn't the right word, but certainly the most relatable. Jones was friendly, and as I said before, Simone is perhaps the most tragic of the members of Jericho. Anyway, the fight with the Firstborn isn't much of a fight. If Cole's final words wasn't enough of a hint, the game flat out tells you that the Firstborn will use the power of one of the remaining squad members, which you have to counteract by using the same. The first to be exploited is Paul. Before the Firstborn drains our health, we have to use Paul's Ghost Heal on the Firstborn itself. Next is Delgado. The Firstborn will summon a Blue Ababanili, which we have to take on with the true Fire Spirit. Finally, the Child will use Billy's Blood Ward to stun all our squad mates except Church. We use our own Blood Ward to finally make the Firstborn vulnerable.
I started this. Let me finish it.
Yep, that's it. So obviously that ending was rushed like hell. A lot of the game was rushed like hell, but especially the ending. The deaths of Joan and Cole still impacted me, but the game itself is obviously unfinished. And, well, don't hold out too much hope for a sequel. We'll never know what happened to the team, what happened to Arnold and the Firstborn, what it was the Firstborn needed to be given. Well, we probably won't know anyway. Overall, Clive Barker's Jericho to me is a game with some of the most unrealized potential out there. That's not to say that some of that potential wasn't achieved, however. Even though we don't spend much time with them, the members of Jericho Squad really do grow on you, each having a unique personality and background beyond their gameplay mechanics. In a time where most shooters were just army man meets up with army men to shoot other army men, Jericho presented a diverse cast of actual characters. Okay, Ross is pretty boring, but hey, he's dead for the most of the game, give him a break. Paul I really liked. He's billed as a priest, but acts more like a soldier, but ultimately is more loyal to his own morals than scripture or orders. Abby is a bit of a stereotype, though for the time, having a lesbian character was pretty cool for the game. I like how she's mentally the strongest of the group, shown through how Ross and Cole often rely on her. I'm not sure it comes through in the videos, but she also seems attached to Jones, calling him Jonesy, and just generally being concerned about him during battle, which was a nice character interaction. Speaking of Jones, next to Ross, he's probably the next most boring character, but I did find his upbeat attitude pretty refreshing. As I said, I feel Simone had a lot of potential to be the most interesting character, though with her sudden demise and the fact that they only allude to her unique past in her bios kind of quashed that. Delgado is a dick, as I've said many times, but sometimes you just need to have a dick in the story. I think they went overboard with him in some cases, such as shooting Paul, but the story needed a hothead to push it along. I like Billy's accent, and her short interaction with Lichthammer alluded to her darker past that could have made her very interesting had it been expounded upon within the game itself. It's obvious that Clive Barker had ideas here, and you know what? The game designers did as well. Most of the squad's abilities have practical uses and are fun to use. The guns are satisfying to use, and though I hate bullet-sponged enemies, I felt the more strategic nature of the playable character's abilities made it much more tolerable. Furthermore, if you like dirty, disgusting, bloody horror visuals, this game delivers. It wasn't afraid to put in shit like Vicus opening his entrails to spray you with doo-doo blood. I respect that. So, my friends, that was Clive Barker's Jericho. In my opinion, a rough, unfinished gem of a game and a story. Thanks for playing with me.
Holy Mary!